السلام عليكم. مساكم الله بالخير وأهلا وسهلا بكم. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this important event. This is one of the major OMSP events that we do annually, and you are welcome to join us in this webinar, which is part of a pre-event. This is the first time that we do this, and this actually came based on a feedback that we got from the previous events. So the annual Career and Research Day is, as I said, one of the important events that OMSP conduct every year. And we invite medical students, interns, along with people who are practicing and willing to join OMSP for different residency programs locally and internationally. Basically, we are having most of the programs representation in that event, along with important sections at OMSP. So I would like to welcome you to this event. And as I said, this is one of the earlier events that we are doing it for the first time. Previously, we were doing the physical one at most of the time at the convention center. And we collect feedback from people who participate, and we also work on the feedback. And one of the important feedback that we got, that probably we need that event to happen physically. However, we need also a kind of orientation to the actual steps of application and registrations and the choices of different programs, whether it is locally or internationally, whether it's a GFP or residency or fellowship. So basically in this evening, we are going to spend with you about 2 hours going from a general principles of how to apply and the steps that are required for you as a new candidate to apply to different programs, the steps that are required from you and the papers that are required from you and the different probably application process. Then we will be taking you through choices of local programs, and then after that we will touch on international scholarships and so on. So basically we are going to provide you with tips and survival tips that are allowing you to choose rightly, allowing you probably to fill in your application forms timely and rightly. And this is based on what we've noticed in the previous years. So I would like also to thank all the people who are going to participate in this evening in giving you these survival tips from different departments of the OMSP and from different sectors. And we will go through the lectures and the presentation, and then finally, probably if you have any questions that we need to tackle, we will open the floor for question and answers. So probably we could start then without delaying you. Thank you.
Dr. Hood, if you allow me, I just would like to confirm from IT if we have all the candidates in, because I'm seeing the number keep increasing before Sheikha will start.
Oh, I see. Do you want me to tell them a story?
No, we'll just ask IT if they, because the register.
Likely it will take time, Asma, for people to join.
No, but there is people in waiting room. The waiting room people are.
ترى ما حد في الويتنج، كلهم داخل اللي موجودين.
شكرا.
Okay.
Sheikha, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sheikha Shabibi from Admission and Registration section, and I have to shorten this one because I want to see the I'm going to talk, inshallah, about the application requirements. I'll go ahead to start with the objectives of this presentation. In this presentation, you will be familiarized with the admission criteria, and also you will be introduced about the admission and registration timeline for the next academic year, 23-24, and have a practical approach on how to fill the online form and upload the correct documents in terms of format. And also you will be introduced to the applicant's requirements. We will start with the admission criteria, the main criteria that is, you have to have it. A medical degree, of course, this medical degree should be in medicine and surgery or equivalent from a recognized college or university. The internship certificate, of course, for those who are interns, they have to finish it before the academic year. After the academic year, you are not eligible to apply for this academic year. You have to be medically fit and also passing the OMSB selection exam from last year, 21, and for this academic year, 2022. For the fellowship training programs, there are two main additional to the rest: completion of residency training program and a specialty certificate, in, of course, in the field of that you are applying for. The application and registration timeline for this academic year 23-24, we have already started the announcement of the available training slots. It will be for, from this week till 27th of December, inshallah. And the interviews of the successful applicant, of course, those who already completed their application with everything complete, will be from February 12th till 9th of March, inshallah. And the results of the professional accepted applicants will be April. June 23, registration of accepted applicant. The orientation week will be, inshallah, from 27 till 31 August 2023. And of course, the start of the new academic year, it will be 1st of September 23. These are very questions I am getting every year. What are the requirements? I'm going to talk about the requirements for the residency and fellowship as well. Of course, the application or a sponsorship form. This form must be signed and stamped by the employer. For example, if you are following Ministry of Health, then the Director General or authorized person in the directorate, it should be the person who will sign this application. And some of you is asking where exactly to get to this application form. Of course, I'm going to go into details about where exactly to find it, but it is in the system. You have to print it, get it signed by your sponsor, and then scan it again and then upload it in the website. The CV, a format of the CV will be available on the website, OMSB, of course, and also online system. But we will download here, upload here a copy of the CV in the chat, so you can have a copy of it. And also, one of the requirements, valid national ID and passport. And I mean valid, it should be valid, not expired, because we have received some of them who are having expired identity card and passport. And I want to highlight here to some of the points that is, I feel, very important. I give you some of the pictures on how to upload your, the correct format of uploading your personal, this is, formal application. So please make sure that your application is very neat and your picture is not taken from a picture with an appropriate background or taken from national ID. It should be accurate, exactly like what you have it in your national ID and what you have it in your passport. And also regarding the application form, please make it, it should be clear, it should be PDF, readable, because we are receiving yearly, taking from a phone. Yeah, maybe you can't take it from a phone, but it should be as PDF. We have smartphones that can transfer everything now to a PDF format. And also, This is also one of the things that you have to consider. Please make sure that your documents is uploaded accurately. And I will continue with the requirements. Required certificates for residency, MD certificate. Medical school must be listed in the World Directory of Medical Schools. And I think most of you, or all of you, of course, it shouldn't be most, it will be all of you. If you have studied outside Oman, then obtaining verification and attestation of MD certificate from Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation is هي معادلة شهادة. It's very important. You have also to attach the MD transcript, the internship certificate. We have already talked to interns. I mean, if you don't have it, then you have, once you are completing your internship, then you have to bring us a copy of your internship certificate. And also valid BLS and ACLS certificates. It should be during registration till the beginning, the start of the academic year. Any extra qualifications, certificates, publication, and these can be, I mean, like you can see it in the CV that we have already give you a copy of. And the required certificates for fellowship, we have completion of residency training, and we have a specialty certificate. And this is one of the things that I want to highlight is applicant health assessment form. We also give you in the chat a copy of the applicant health assessment form, and these are the required tests. And like hepatitis virus, it should be the antigen, anti-HBC, anti-HBS. You have to have the hepatitis C virus, HIV, TB, MMR, varicella, and COVID vaccination. And we also will give you a guide, the guide from Ministry of Health for further details about why we are requiring these tests. And also the tests as well. You will find them in the chat. I'll go now on how to start your application. Of course, you have already received the link to Hakim. And if you don't have it, then you have first to follow 3 steps. The step 1, you have to go to visit the OMSB website. And then you will find here under residency and fellowship, there is like residency fellowship application. Once you will click it, you will have the screen for welcome to Hakim. If you are new, then you have to click on register and then join Hakim. If you already registered previously, then just go to login. And if you forgot your password, then just like forgot password, and then you will receive it. It's either through your email, through your, the phone even. And then I'll continue with the registration. So here you have to put your national ID, which is your user ID and preferred password that you have already decided. And then you log in. Once you will log in, the second picture will open. So you will have here residency application for residents and fellowship application for, of course, those fellows. Once you will click on residency application, you will be asked a question. The question will say, have you passed the selection exam? Once you will click it, it will be retrieved automatically from the system through your national ID that this is your score and you will be allowed to enter. If you couldn't, then it means that you did not pass. Unless you have a problem, then you have report an issue. So you have to report an issue to the IT, and inshallah, within 24 hours, you will receive a reply. It's either from scholarship or from admission or from IT. It depends on your queries. For the registration, and so once you will have it, you will have here the registration, and you will have the files upload. So in the registration, on the left side, there is here a dashboard and the print report. This is the report I'm talking about. It's the application form. You have to print it, get it signed, and then upload it again in the system. And you have to make sure that these 2 are completed 100%. I'll talk some of the major issues that we are facing during application every year. Filling the application at last minute. So you have, please make sure that now you have like 3 weeks. It will take only 15 minutes from your time. at least registered. If you don't have all the documents, upload them later, because the system will open till 25th of December. After that, we are not gonna give you extension, and it will only take 15 minutes or 20 minutes maximum. So the system open, I urge you to just register as soon as possible. And if you have any queries or like internet got down or something, at least we can help you at this time, not at last minute. And also submission of inappropriate documents. I have already highlighted this point previously. And please note also, we have typing issues in your names. Your names, it should be based on the national ID or your passport. And we also have in the numbers of passport and the number of ID in your email. Some of the applicants are informing us that all my colleagues have received the application. I haven't. Why? Because you typed your email wrong. Maybe you think it's a slight mistake, but it is not. It will affect you, for your registration later. ID, if you put it wrong, then your score, selection exam, we cannot identify it, because the system identified through your ID, national ID number. So what I'm just advising you, announcement it's already announced, and it is self-explanatory, so kindly read it carefully. So in summary, we have already talking about the admission criteria. I give you a summary about the admission and registration timeline for the next academic year 23-24, and also how to fill in the online application form and upload the correct documents. And also we go through the application requirements and the issues that we are facing. Thank you very much for your listening.
Good evening, everyone. I see many questions in the chat. Please type your questions. Soon in the QA session, we will be answering most of your questions. I will move forward with the presentations. I'm Dr. Asma Al-Blushi, Emergency Consultant, and also the Director of Trainee Affairs Department. I will be talking about residency and fellowship in the local program. The objective of my talk will cover the advertisement, local programs, why to apply for 2 choices, how to handle your application, importance of email address and why, interview schedule, the journey to move forwards. So those are the local program. We have total of 19 local program. Anatomical pathology, anesthesia, clinical biochemistry, dermatology, emergency medicine, family medicine, general dentistry. We also have general surgery, hematopathology, internal medicine, medical microbiology, obstetric gynecology, ophthalmology, oral maxillofacial surgery, orthopedic surgery, ENT, and pediatric psychiatry and radiology. The local fellowship program which being announced, adult cardiology, pediatric hemato-oncology, pediatric ICU, and medical genetics. Those are the local programs. I urge all the candidates who want to apply for local programs, they should be very much aware in the application about what we actually offered. Now, there is a major issue we annually face with applicants about that they don't read the advertisement. So my advice is read the advertisement. The advertisement is self-explanatory. It exactly tell you what documents it require. What is the criteria for, first of all, for applications. Many times we receive email from people, I haven't scored in the selection exam, can I enter? The step 1 to apply for residency programs is the selection exam. This is applicable for all the local programs and scholarship, also residency program. However, for general dentistry and OMFS, the advertisement has clearly said that they need to submit their own exam. That's why in the application system, which Ms. Sheikha, she early mentioned, if you are applying for OMFS or general dentistry, the system will allow you to follow a different track compared to the rest of the residency programs, because these two programs does not require selection exam. Now, why to apply for two choices? A wise man, I will not mention his name, he said, first choice is what we want, and second is what we get. Every year the number of graduates increase, and the number of the seats available we are increasing the number of intakes, but it will not be the exact match. Not every MD graduate will be able to enter the programs, and every year the number accumulates. Therefore, it's better you go with, if you have passed the selection exam and you are eligible to enter, you better make sure that you apply for two choices rather than one choice, because it's not only you who apply for this program. There is total of 546 eligible candidates to apply. Second things is, if you be accepted in a program, you are ranked and you may end up in a waiting list, because that program only take 4 candidates. So if you put only one choice, then you minimize your chance to start a residency program. So you better go for 2 choices. Selection exam validity is 2 years. You realize now we have mentioned that Ms. Sheikha has mentioned that people who pass selection exam in 21 and 22, those are the people who are eligible to sit for the residency program. So you don't want to reset for this exam if you have already passed it. So you need to, this is another reason why you should go for 2 choices. After medical schools, career development through residency and fellowship is a journey by itself. The earlier you start, you are much younger, you're much energized. So to start, even if you get your second choice are as good as the first choice. Many studies have shown that age is an element which, as people get older, the chances to be accepted and the competition get tougher on those people. So the younger you are, you better go and apply, and to get a seat, you better go for 2 choices rather than you say, I only want to be the dermatologist. Unless you worked for years and you have done whatever is possible, you want to keep one choice. But the advice, you go for 2 choices. The first choice, of course, is what you want, but the second choice, something you will be able to cope with it, go on. And there is no best than annual career and research forum, which we will be held on 13th of December, will help you to identify all the programs are available, all the faculty, all the your senior colleagues, residents, the program directors and chairmen. They will be there to clear your doubts, and you can end up with a very clear mindset what is your first and second choice. How to handle your application. We would like to stress these matters again and again. Curriculum, your CVs. Earlier in the chats, while Ms. Sheikha was speaking, we have a specific template for the CVs, and we advise all the candidates to use that, because it's make easier for the interview panels to review it systematically. It's being made scientifically, and we ask you, if you use this template, it make much easier. And please upload these things in a PDF document rather than a Word document. Your certificates, I will re-stress, people take a screenshot of their certificates. You may take 1 day leave, just go start the day with the library, get all the documents scanned properly with good resolutions. And also for the blood investigations. Blood investigation, people keep missing 1 or 2 investigation. Please, whatever related to hepatitis B specific, you are all physicians, you know that hepatitis B have multiple tests. There is a specific test in hepatitis B is required that you need to get it done with the other things. Plus your immunization proof. Immunization proof is a must for all the elements which being already downloaded for you in the chats. If you don't have the proof, then there is the IG test which give an evidence that a person is already being immunized. So if you don't have the immunization card proof, you need to do the IG test to show that you are immunized. As I stressed early, the Career Research Forum, it's for all the candidate who's applying. You need to attend this event as a final aid to help you make your decision which residency program you're going to apply for. For med students, it's very important also if the attendees are med students to attend this forum once to know what program is available and go think back. So then when you are in internship or the GFB, you are much clear in your thought and minds that I want to do this or my second choice. People think that one-time visit for the career is enough. One time is not enough. In first visit, it should you explore all these programs, see what you like, what you are surgical person, you are medic person, you are a lab person. It helped to clarify. Also, general foundation program booth will be available, and many people feel still that internship is not enough for them to make their mind. They would like to try the general foundation years, and then if you have any queries about the general foundation program and how it's run, the people will be there to answer you. When to submit? Waiting till 24th, 25th of December to submit, it's extremely wrong planning. By maximum, if the career day is on 13th, 20th, everybody should have submitted. What you do basically on 23rd or 24th, just review like a double check, or you ask a colleague to check with you that you have uploaded all the required documents. System, you don't know what may happen, but I would like to remind all you when we had 1 day where electricity have shut down whole the country. Who will know that on 25th this may not happen again? Now email address. So for us, you are new people. What we know about you is only your selection exam scores. Then any communication between us and you will be through your email address. And if that address is wrong, then the communication is lost. Second things, when we send emails, please acknowledge these email recipients and act upon it. We send emails and then 1 day before deadline, you say, I don't have this, can you give me extension? The email were sent and being reviewed and read earlier, but then not act upon it. Not only acknowledging receiving email, but act on the instructions. Please remember, we have, Ms. Sheikha have shown you the whole calendars, and we have a lot of admin process and a lot of delegate technical work is done. So we usually, to make to be ensured that the process is done at high quality, we keep deadlines and we don't breach our deadlines. So deadlines also need to be respected. One thing I would like to stress here is you are in the application process, but we facing also many challenges during the interviews time. Many of the candidates, they show up late in the interview. Oh, I thought it's 10:30, but then you have received the schedule. You are the 9 a.m. person, and many programs, they end up with a 90 candidate to be interviewed, and we get the faculty, they come for 4 days. So if you miss your time, then this is your own. These things you need to look after it and be careful about it. You may ask a colleague to double check with you. Second things, last year we faced with many candidates who did not show up. If you don't show up for any reason and it is an emergency, please communicate with us in advance. And if it is an emergency, you send an email with the supporting documents. We had one incident, the candidate, as he was driving with the rush of traffic early morning, he made an accident. So he sent us as immediate police report showing that he had the accident. We rescheduled him. Without proper proof of not show up, usually the candidate loses his options. Not show up affect many things. It reflects the professionalism of the person himself, and it's reflect how accountable he is on it. And many candidates, they go to one interview and they feel themselves they did very well. They decide not to show up for the second choice. Okay, you feel maybe the interview panel were happy with this and you get a good score. But remember that there is number of seats available for that program. Who can guarantee you are not on the waiting list of that program? So if you applied for 2 choices, make sure you attend the interview for the 2 choices. The journey as we go forward. The journey is started with application, which announced yesterday. When application closed on 25th, we have review, interview, selection periods, which go on until we announce the result. That's followed by admission process and paperwork, which is a meticulous process by itself. That's why I'm saying deadlines are very important and adhering to it is a must. And then it's an orientations, and definitively we'll be looking forward to see you on first of in the last week of August in the orientation, the successful candidates. In summary, accountability is a key for getting this application process go smoothly for you. Acting on your emails, that will also make the process easier for you and for us. We are here to help you as per bylaws and policies available, which are made to make the process very smooth. And with this, I end up with the thank you all for taking this evening and joining us. And I will leave the floor for Dr. Hu to take us for the next person. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Assalamu alaikum. Next person will be Dr. Saif Al-Yaroubi. And Dr. Saif is the best person to tell you about scholarships and how to apply and what are the important application process and how to also navigate through the process of applying for international scholarships. Dr. Saif.
Yeah, Dr. Hood, for the introduction. I am the Assistant Executive President for International Cooperation. I'm also a pediatric endocrinologist. With me in my presentation is Manal Al-Zidi, who is the head of the sections, head of Scholarship Affairs section. I will go through about 20 minutes, me and Manal, explaining to you the process of application to the residency program internationally, And if we have fellows also on board with us, we will explain a little bit about the fellowship, but we will concentrate on the application for the residency program. Before I start, I want to thank the government of Oman for supporting the training of residents locally and abroad. They have been generous with us for the last few years to continue in this journey of sending physicians, Omani physicians, to be trained in the best universities in many countries and in very reputable universities. So we are very thankful to them at all sections who are involved. Next slide, Manal. So the scholarship in Oman, internationally, we started the program in 2009. Throughout the years, there were ups and downs, but we continued. We did not stop from 2009. And the main aim is to focus on specialties that are not offered in the local programs, mainly the surgical specialties. And so we have sent a very good number over the years, and mainly through the program which are offered through the Ministry of Higher Education. And also there were contributions from the private sectors. Next slide. In 2015, the OMSP with Ministry of Health decided to have the National Scholarship Committee to make the scholarship program more sustainable, and also to align the different scholars to the programs and to achieve the Oman visions for healthcare for 2040. The committee was established, and this committee have representation from all the health sectors, from Ministry of Health, SQU, the Armed Forces Hospital, Diwan, Royal Court, and also the police, and also, of course, from the Ministry of Higher Education. Since that time, the OMSP, with the help of the Ministry of Higher Education, were able to send approximately 60 to 70 Omani doctors abroad for residency or fellowships. Some years we go up to 80, some years we go down to 50, but the average is between 60 to 70. In future, we are planning to increase this number with the opening new slots in different countries. So the numbers, you will see the numbers increasing as time goes. When we started the program of sending residents, there were also some initiatives. Some of them are guided through the OMSP, and some of them are really, we got funds from the government. 2016, we had an initiative of sending for critical care because of the shortage of critical care specialists in the country. So we have sent a very good number of them. And as you see now, we are able to open a local fellowship for critical care, which is very important for us. There was also a need to have a master in medical law, and this was a request from Minister of Health, and we have sent 2, and they are now back and practicing this. And then the oncology center, it was the late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, Allah yarhamu, also donated the fund to send what is needed for the human development of the oncology center. And we started that in 2017, and we completed this project. And it was really a huge success for us. And a year after, also His Majesty Sultan Qaboos also donated the fund for the stroke unit projects for Muscat, Suhar, Salala, and Nizwa. And we are in the middle of this program. These are different, the scholarship not related to the Ministry of Higher Education. And then also Al Jisr Foundations have donated few scholars for us for certain specialties. These are the top destinations for us, mainly Canada. Currently we have 88, US 6. and also Ireland, France, UK, and Australia, but we send also to other countries like Singapore. But these are the current numbers now. Currently, we have at each point we have around maybe 200 to 150 residents around the world being trained as a resident or a fellow. So our application is a little bit different than the applications for the local programs. So this year we added up a third choice for you. So you can add 2 local and 1 international. Al-Manal will explain how you do it. But when you apply for an international residency program, you will start in 2024. So you get the approval from us in 2023. And then you will look for universities, we'll apply for you for universities, and then you start in 2024. While in the local programs, once you pass the interview, you are selected. So it's a little bit different here. The residency program abroad are, you get only provisional sponsorship letter, and then it's up to the universities abroad to accept you or not. So it's not really a straightforward acceptance for the international programs. However, there is a good chance that you will be accepted if you are a strong candidate and you have the international exam and your CV is good. Your chances of being accepted on those programs is not too bad. In certain countries, when we select you, like for example, for France, when you pass the interview, it means a selection because we give the government of France, we do the process of selection. But for Canada, for example, we only apply for you and the Canadian University will do the interviews and then they will select themselves and they will choose the best candidates. So for other countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, it's not us who choose, it's those universities who choose. We only give you the provisional sponsorship to apply. For the English language certificate, there are some universities in Canada also that they require an IELTS score of 7. So we do recommend that you have an IELTS, and also we do recommend that you have the international exam required for that country. Next. So these are the residency program which are offered this year for the training internationally, and as you can see, they are mostly programs that not offered by OMSP locally, and they are mainly surgical program. However, there are programs which are offered here, but we still thought that the country still need trainees to be sent abroad so that we will have a mix of trainers and we can strengthen those programs. So you can apply for pathology locally and internationally, obstetrics, ophthalmology, these are, and orthopedic surgery. These are the 4 programs which are offered both locally and internationally. The residency program usually are done in Canada, France. If you have USMLE, then you can apply to the US. And if you completed the licensing exam for Australia and New Zealand, you can apply also to those 2 countries. Australia and New Zealand are really difficult to get the licensing exam because it's 3 parts. And the 3rd part, it has to be clinical and have to be in Australia. So we open this mainly for those who graduate from Australia and New Zealand, who did their medical school there, because their licensing is a little bit easier than those who graduate from Oman or other countries. Next. Now, Manal, if you can take over explaining how they will choose the residency program. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Saif. So this year, we're introducing a new opportunity to allow the applicants to select 3 programs instead of competing separately for the local programs or competing separately for the international program. We are giving the chance for each applicant to select 3 programs at the same time. 2 of them are meant to be for local programs and 1 for the international program. So there are 3 possible choices. you either select international first and then second and third to be local, or you select the first as local and then the second is international, and the third choice is local. The third possible scenario is to select the first and second choices as local programs, and then the third as international programs. Now, you will be matched in accordance to your priority of choice. So if your first choice is local program, you will be considered for that choice first, and then you will be considered for the international choice or for your other choice. That means if you select local first and then international and you're matched with the local, then you will not be matched with your remaining choices and vice versa. Now, there are scenarios that will not be accepted. So we're not expecting the following. We're not accepting if you select 3 local programs or 3 international programs or 2 international programs. These are all unacceptable choices, and you will not be matched properly if you select your choices according to this. You will be matched for your first choice. If one of them is international and 2 of them are local, you will be matched according to priority, but will not be matched if you exceed the maximum allowed choices. I will just go briefly over the requirements for residency training. Now, my colleague Sheikha and Dr. Asma have already explained the requirements to apply. For the international programs, we have additional requirements to the ones that are required for the local programs, and those requirements differ from one country to another. So for example, if you're applying to Canada, then we expect you to have the Canadian Council exam, either the MCCEE or the MCCQE1. For the United States, we would expect you to have the USMLE exam, both steps 1 and 2. If you're applying to France, according to the French government law, you'll have to be less than 33 years old. And we would prefer, or we would give credit to applicants with A1.1 level in French language. For Australia and New Zealand, like Dr. Saif mentioned, we would require the applicant to have the Australian Medical Council examination. Now, IELTS is also required for Australia and New Zealand, and it's required for some of the Canadian universities. It would not be mandatory to submit it at the time of the application, but if you're applying to any of those universities, you would be expected to fulfill this requirement over the coming months. If we go to fellowship programs, these are the destinations that we are offering at the moment: United States, Canada, UK, Ireland, Singapore, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand, and France. France is only for residents that are currently training in France. And I will not be showing the offered fellowship programs. You can have access to that by going to the e-portal of OMSP. It's a long list of fellowship programs. For the requirements, for most countries, the only requirement is the specialty certificate. Some countries would require you to have the English language, such as the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and some of the Canadian universities. Again, you're not required to submit that at the time of application, but you will be required to fulfill this requirement if you are applying to any of those countries. Here are some of the rules regarding competing for fellowship programs. Now, the e-portal for the fellowship programs, for the local programs and the international programs are separate, but competition is only allowed for one program, not for 2. And the programs that are offered locally are no longer offered for international training. Please note when applying that some fellowship programs are specifically for certain employers. So if you do not belong to that employer, please do not select it. Otherwise, you would be disqualified. After we select you to be provisionally approved, so say you have applied with us, you've gone through the interview process, and you get selected to be provided with a provisional sponsorship letter. At that time, you would be expected to apply to different universities or different countries according to your preference. What would determine if you would be accepted or not? Of course, this is up to the discretion of the universities or the colleges, but we have some tips for you that we, from our experience, we know that they would increase your chances of obtaining an acceptance letter. So for example, membership exams. So this is either for residency or for fellowship. Having membership exams, even if they're not required, would be credit to your application. IELTS and OET. OET is an alternative exam for IELTS and is now accepted in UK, in Ireland, in Australia, and some of the provinces in Canada are starting to recognize it. So we strongly recommend that you apply for this exam because when we give you the provisional sponsorship letter, we would be helping you, or you would be looking out for universities that are offering the program that you're interested in. And if you have IELTS or OET, you would have more places where you can apply. One of the things that we see help a lot in obtaining an acceptance is having experience in your field of interest. So if you're currently a GP in the GFP program, for example, we would strongly support you doing attachment in the same program that you are applying for. Of course, the CV and the personal statement would reflect your application, and it's the first thing that universities would take a look at when considering your application. So take your time in writing your CV, take your time in writing your personal statement. We have some samples that we can provide you with to help you in writing those. If you need more information on guidelines for the scholarship programs, please download the scholarships booklet, دليل الطبيب العماني لبرامج الاختصاص والزمالة في الخارج. This booklet includes information regarding the entire scholarship journey for the Omani physician, up from the point of applying until obtaining acceptance, travel, and even after coming back with the qualification. That's all. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll give the floor back to Dr. Hood.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور سيف منال. شكرا جزيلا. So now I think by this time you've already knows a lot of information from applications and what is required for you. Maybe it's time to know also how would you convince the panelists in the interview? How would you make them choose you for your program, that choice? So I would like to introduce Dr. Najla. And Dr. Najla used to be program director of family medicine for some time, number of years. She had a vast experience in knowing how do the resident appears on the day of the interviews. And they are actually, the choice of Dr. Najla came because they stay in almost for 1 month interviewing resident. So they know how does resident performs. And Dr. Najla, of course, she is a senior consultant family medicine. So Dr. Najla, welcome, and floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. So I have 10 minutes to talk to the applicants, the coming applicants on interview. So I thought of, what's next? Just to talk about these 3 points. The applicants' concerns. Throughout the years, I've seen that a lot of people who are applying for the interviews, they have very specific concerns regarding the application, the interview process itself. And then I will talk about what do the interviewers look for when they are doing the interview, and then how would the applicants can prepare for this interview. To start with, most of the concerns I hear from the applicants over the years they approach me before the interviews that what would be the format of this interview. So usually the formats of the interviews are either structured or unstructured. In OMSB, everybody is using structured format, and the structure is within the content or in the process. So you have a standard form by OMSB with standard items under it. And these items are the knowledge, the professionalism, proficiency in English, attitude, enthusiasm for specialty. So everybody going to any program in OMSB will be evaluated on the same form by all the programs. Of course, there are credits given for the applicants if they have passed already international exams or they have any publication by the time they come for the interview. So this process, the items are standard. Now, the other concern, which I tend to get a lot, that people want to know how fair or reliable is this interview? So the fairness is again in two ways. It's in the content and in the process. In the content, it comes if the questions are standard. I believe that most of the programs will use standard questions for everybody. Sometimes it might be a little bit different when it comes to the medical knowledge, but then they are testing the same domain. So there is, to great extent, a lot of standardization in the content. When it comes to the process, I think over the years, everybody is looking to this point, the fairness and the reliability. And as programs and as OMSB admission office, people have looked into the literature and they found that if you increase the number of the interviewers, that increases the reliability of the judgment. If you use the same interviewers over the time, like in family medicine, as Dr. Hood said, we interview people over 4 days. So we have a lot of numbers, but then we try to make the interviewers the same so that the applicants over the weeks, they meet the same interviewers. And then if you give the applicant longer time, again, increases the fairness and reliability as per literature, using scoring scales, which is done in OMSB, because when we get the form of the applicant, there is a specific scoring. Whatever items I have mentioned, each one is having a score. So by the end of the interview, the resident will get a score and they will be ranked by their scores, giving more reliable decision. And each interviewer is submitting his evaluation instantly after leaving of the applicant before the discussion among each other, which reduces the bias. So all these points are met to give more reliable assessment of the applicant. Now, what is the interviewer looking for when they are meeting you in the interview? They look for fitness for job. So when I see somebody in the panel sees applicants, they are looking if this applicant is fit for the job he's trying to applying for. He's applying to be a resident in a specific program, and he will be working in that career for his life. So we want to know if he is fit for that job. Now, how would you do that? People look ask questions which are sometimes technical, and as we said, there is an item for knowledge. So people look into your technical knowledge, the very basic technical knowledge. As a doctor who's graduated, who have finished the internship or currently in the internship, there's a minimum basic knowledge required and expected when you answer the basic questions. Some of the questions might be in some program specialty related, but I'm sure that they will not be very highly advanced questions because people do not expect you to be expert before coming to the program. They just want the minimum of that. Of course, they look to your communication skills. This is what they want. So they are looking for your technical knowledge. They're looking for your communication skills. They are looking for your professionalism. And that's very important, because your professionalism can be seen, people try to get that in the interview. And some of the items which Dr. Asma have mentioned, like coming on time, apologizing if you are not coming, asking for rescheduling, responding to the calls. That all tells people about your professionalism. Now, how do they try to elicit that? Most of the questions will be, they call it situational or behavioral questions. So they will ask you questions like, what happened to you earlier? Or they might give you a situation and ask you, what will you do if you come in this situation? During these scenarios, people look to your critical thinking, they look to your problem-solving skills. While you are doing this, they are trying to analyze how critical your thinking is, what rationales do you use to justify your decisions, what ethical things you consider. So this is all done using the tools of the scenarios. Now, finally, what you can do so that, okay. Now, what you can do to have a good interview and be prepared for the interview. First of all, you need to strengthen your technical basic knowledge. You need to come prepared like a physician, like who knows the basics. Another thing is that you need to know the place where you work and the, let's say, guidelines where you work, the protocols, the guidelines. Let's say you work in internship, or you are in GFP, or you've been working for some years in a place. People expect you to actually know what you are working with. You know what's available, you know what things are going on. The other thing is you have to know the specialty you are going for. So research about the specialty you are applying for. Be able to explain why did you choose this specialty very specifically, because one item is that people need to know that you want this specialty and you are enthusiastic enough about it. Think about your future in this specialty. Think about your desire of your personal growth, your career growth while you are choosing this. Know your strong and weak points generally, and very specifically when it comes to this specialty. How would you tailor your weaknesses, your strength to this specialty? So your knowledge should be about three things: about the technical aspect, about yourself, about the specialty you are going for. Now, how can you do that? One other thing I want to mention, that when you are given the scenarios, as I told you, many people will use the behavioral situational scenarios. Focus on being star. So first, think about the situation. You don't have to tell the whole story. Think about the situation you want to tell the panel about. Talk about the task, what happened, and think, why did it happen? And then think about the action you did or you will be doing. And you need to know, be able to justify if you are asked, why did you do that? Or what was your decision based on? And then talk about the results and the lesson learned. So if it was a situation which happened earlier, you would say, this was the result and I learned this. Or if it's something in the future, you would probably think that these are the expected results of my action or my behavior at that time. Your tools to do all that is reading. As Dr. Asma said, reading is very important. Read about a lot of things. Keep reading to be a better doctor technically. Read about the fields you are working in. As I told you, you are expected to know something about the place you are. You cannot be just superficial saying that I'm not doing this stuff, whereas I'm in this department. That's not acceptable. When you are in a place, you need to know the place and understand each and everything and understand the rationale behind it. Then use the reflection as a tool. Whenever you are in situations, reflect on these situations, because these are your learning points. These are the points you know about yourself. Here is where you understand your strong points, your weaknesses. You try to work on them. And then when a panel asks you, you are able to say, even if a panel give you a a scenario, you are able to extract from that scenario what are the points. And the third thing is practice. There are a lot of questions on the website where you can practice and decide if you are able to answer these questions. That's all for me. I hope it was helpful. Thank you very much.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور نجلة. I think I'll just tell you a story just to break in between. I used to be a chairman of emergency medicine for some time, and in one of the panelists that we interview resident applicants, the program director was running a parallel session, a parallel interview panel, and he asked the candidate, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's a common interview. And the resident, probably he was like reading about interviews and the answers, and he said, I think I will be in your chair. So that was, he was very ambitious.
Yeah. And it's good to be ambitious.
Yes, and it's good to be, but then you also need to probably
to be polite and political in your answer.
Yes, yes. People need to prepare, as everyone is stressing on this. And I always say that it's a journey. Yeah, this is a journey. Unfortunately, medicine has a lot of choices. So when we finished our mid school, our secondary schools, we have to choose between different university specialties. تبغى طب ولا تبغى ايش؟ وبعدين تروح تسأل وما ادري ايش. We had that kind of dilemma whether to go to medicine or something else. And then we forget about the choices for 7 years. Suddenly we have to choose which specialty, and we have to ask which one. These are harder now. It becomes more harder because this is now the rest of your life. And then probably there is another step, which fellowship that you would like to practice as an area of interest. So always ask and always take it as an active process. I was doing my clinical shifts today in Royal Hospital, and I met with one of the candidates who is still not finding a clear answer which one to choose. And that's, I think, the main dilemma for our candidates, that they don't do it an active process. They don't go and ask. They probably do not read enough to know which specialty is good for them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Reading is very important because we face a lot of people who, even if they have any information, it will be very shallow and only hearing it. So reading and reading from good places, starting with OMSB website, I think it's a good beginning.
Yes. So with that, we also have, we thought that we also give our candidates another flavor of and a peer view of how to navigate through the interview. And we have Dr. Zaid Al-Khabouri, who is the Chief President of Emergency Medicine Residency Training Program. And I think he will give you the resident perspectives and how do they navigate through the unprepared actually, and how did they reach to a conclusion, which choices. Dr. Zaid.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hood. Good evening, everyone. I mean, I don't know how to start this presentation and to follow on the amazing tips and valuable information that was given to you guys by the previous speakers and the previous doctors. Maybe some of what I'm going to say next, you would feel that there is some repetition in it. Just keep in mind that what I'm going to tell you now is just similar to what has been said before, but from a different perspective. In the end, whatever has been given in this session in general, all revolves around the same things, same concepts. It's just that we all give it from different perspectives to help give you the full picture, right? So hopefully less repetition, more of different aspects. So if you're going to ask me how to increase your chances of getting accepted into a residency program, I would answer that question with the following. what is your game plan? Honestly, this is my answer. I always think of residency program or of applying to a certain specialty or certain project or wherever you're aiming to reach or to apply to. I always think of it as a game of strategy. As what Dr. Najla said, it's always important to plan ahead, to know yourself, to understand what do you want to reach, where do you want to reach, to understand what you have available, and to understand where do you work, who are the people that you are working with, what do they really want. You always have to understand that first in order to understand how you would reach to where you want to reach. So you commit to a plan. The plan does not start actually when the announcement for the residency program is announced. This plan ideally should start while you are in medical school. This is not something that I say only, but it's also available in literature and in many opinions. If you read around, you will find the same thing. The plan actually ideally starts when you're in medical school. I realize that during medical school, it might be difficult to understand where you want to go or what you want to do for the rest of your life, and that's totally fine. That's totally normal. In fact, that's the case for most of medical graduates. However, if you were one of those lucky ones to understand that early on during medical school, that will help you formulate a more thorough plan. So how do you do that? How do you plan this strategy? How do you secure a seat in the residency program? There are multiple things that I'm going to tell you about. The first thing is the simplest thing. Ask around. Yes, it's simple to ask around, honestly. During medical school or even internship, you're always surrounded by residents. So you can always ask them. And I don't know, I didn't find any resident who's hostile so far. So I think they will always be very friendly and very welcoming to answer your doubts and your questions. Consultants, there's no harm. You want to enter a specialty where consultants are maybe the top of the pyramid, right? So ask them, how can I be one of you guys? They will be glad to answer that. Faculty, it's not only the OMSB trainers that we're talking about, but also the specialists in the departments. They have been through residency programs. They have been working with those consultants that are going to interview you. So they understand, they have an idea of what's going on in their minds, and they can give you valuable tips. And obviously, you can always ask OMSB graduates who graduated before you, who went through the process before you, and those people as well can give you lots of valuable tips. The second key point is attend the career day. I'm an advocate for the career day. I would say if you can attend the career day every year. It's not only attending it as an invitation during your last year of medical school, attend it also on your internship. And if you became a GSP and didn't, for example, enter a residency program, attended that year. And if you still didn't apply for residency after or during your GFP and ended up working in wherever you are, attended that year as well. There are lots of things that you can benefit from attending the career day. First of all, it orients you more to the desired residency program. The career day is basically where those residency programs that you are aiming to join will compete, each to market their own specialty, market their own residency program. We compete by making our booths the best and providing and thinking of more creative ideas to leave an impression to you guys and deliver those information to you guys. But at the same time, the purpose of the career day is to answer questions. So it's your chance to understand that from the residents and from the faculty and actually to meet them. So that's also the second point, a chance to meet and know the faculty and the residents. It's not only about knowing the program, but it's about knowing the people, right? So if you know them, if you talk to them, if you communicate with them, that keeps you in their minds. Trust me, what I'm going to say is something from a resident's perspective, someone who went through this process. So I know. It's also a chance to reaffirm your plan through interactions with program faculty. So as I said, you have to commit to a plan. You have to develop a plan and commit to it. Now, how do you know that this plan is good enough? Attend the career day, meet those faculty, and why not tell them, this is what I'm doing to get into the program. Is that enough? Do you think that's enough? What do you think that I can work on? What other things that I can improve or add so that I increase my chances? Obviously, don't expect a biased answer from the faculty. So they will not tell you, okay, Klaus, that's good, that's great, Klaus, you're in for sure. They will give all of us, all of you guys, same they gave all of us a neutral answer where they will look objectively to your plan and they will actually help. And for me, this is the following reason is one of the most important reasons. Guys, have fun. Career Day is a fun place, so don't miss it. Show interest. Remember, there was a point that Dr. Najla talked about the items of the interviews or the scoring system of the OMSB interviews, which was showing interest or enthusiasm in the specialty. So that's a broad term, right? How do you do that? How do you show interest in the specialty? So let your CV do the talking. What I'm going to say is aim that people should know that you are interested in that specialty without you expressing that verbally. Let your CV do the talking means that you have to work and prepare and gather all the tools that can help you. And so that people, when you list them in your CV and they look at your CV, they will say, okay, this candidate is truly interested. I can see that CV is telling me all about it. You have to attend relevant conferences as much as possible, of course. It's not that you have to spend all of your money in all of the conferences, but do choose relevant and important conferences that are relevant not only to you, but to the faculty that you're going to apply to. If you ask them, if you ask around, you will know what conferences do they prefer, what conferences are valuable. Because if you just Google, for example, emergency medicine, it's my specialty, emergency medicine conferences, you'll find a huge list. Every day there's a conference everywhere around the world. So choose your conferences. Relevant workshops and courses. So that includes workshops and courses like professional courses. For example, I'll give you another example from emergency medicine, sorry. But point of care ultrasound, for example, it's relevant to our specialty, relevant to our practice. It's a workshop, it's a certificate that's valuable to you. Let's say in the aspect of pediatrics and emergency medicine as well, pediatric advanced life support, for example. So such workshops, such courses, all add to your CV, right? And it adds to show your interest in the specialty. Those need not only be the courses and the workshops that are certified, but also the pre-conferences workshops, for example. If you find a workshop that, let's say, talks about, for example, you're interested in orthopedics and you found a workshop about casting, why not? It might not be a certificate of a professional certificate, but it's a workshop that shows your interest as well. Campaigns and community services in your field of interest. So we're not talking about distributing charity bags or charity food, or those are all nice and good services, community services. But we're talking about showing interest in a specialty, right? So how do you show interest in a specialty better than serving the community in that specialty? Campaigns and community services are always good chances to show how proactive and also to reflect your personality. Research and scholarly activities, I think that's self-explanatory. When you work on scholarly activities, that also shows your enthusiasm. Electives and attachments, work with the people that you want to apply to. So it's also similar to when Ms. Manal talked about the advantage of working experience in the specialty they're interested in. It's similar to that. If you're interested in emergency medicine, for example, then do electives, do attachments in the emergency department. Get an idea of where you want to work or where you want to be in the future. It's also what Dr. Najla emphasized on. You have to know the workplace and the environment that you're going to choose for the rest of your life. Prerequisites and exams. Always pay attention to prerequisites. This is also a sort of repetition to what was mentioned by Dr. Najla and Dr. Asma, but read well. A lot of the issues happen to residents when they don't plan it well and they don't read it well. I would not exclude myself, honestly. I was lucky that I noticed it when I was applying at a good time to manage to finish all of my medical lab tests and vaccinations. But yeah, that was my mistake for not reading it from before. We tend actually to focus on the other aspects of conferences, workshops, exams, but we don't pay attention to such procedural requirements like medical lab tests and vaccinations. And we don't pay attention that they need weeks sometimes in order to get the results, which is actually the main challenge here. Again, this all comes to the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, plan it well. You have to plan it well. There's absolutely no other way around it. And for some programs like general dentistry and OFS, they require specific exams like the NFDS, that's the membership of Faculty of Dental Surgery exam. And again, to emphasize, the BLS and the ACLS are important. There were some questions that will need to be addressed by attendees here regarding the BLS and the ACLS. But yes, it's important and you have to have it valid. Another key, an important key, which summarizes what I just spoke about, leave an impression. What does that mean? That means the following. Whatever makes an impression on the heart seems lovely to the eye. That sums it up, guys. You have to leave an impression, aim to leave an impression. It's not just working hard or gathering all of those tools and preparing your CV, but aim to leave an impression. What I would suggest that you have to leave it to a level that when people think, when those people, the faculty, the consultants, the residents, the ones in charge of selecting the incoming residents, when they want to think about candidates to choose, they will have to think of you. That's the level that you have to reach. Whenever they think of something in the specialty and looking at the juniors, the upcoming juniors, they have to think of you. Leave that sort of an impression. Obviously, when I say that, I don't mean that you have to be overbearing and try to overmarket yourself or and show off. And no, it's not that. It's actually okay, maybe it's in the next slide, but it's actually about certain qualities that I'm going to speak about later on. It's about genuinely showing that you're interested and genuinely working hard and doing your best in the specialty, really. It's as simple as that. But before that, it doesn't end with the application process. 1 to 2 months between the closure of application window and the interviews usually. Does that mean that it's a chance for a break? Absolutely not. 1 to 2 months means that you have 1 to 2 more months to invest into opportunities to increase your chances. I realize that a lot of stuff, a lot of good opportunities come after the deadline of the residency application, which is totally fine. Because in the interviews, if you interacted further with those faculty or went to conferences or workshops that are relevant, you would still get the chance to speak about that, and they would actually ask you about that because they saw you, right? So it's a golden opportunity. Don't miss it. My last thing is what makes a good candidate. Some of that was mentioned already. Some of that is just things that we keep hearing in the interviews and from our faculty when speaking about good candidates. The qualities are professionalism, being passionate about the specialty. So not just interested, passionate. You actually really want that specialty. Hardworking. So you are someone who will do their best at all times. And by the way, professionalism and hardworking are actually linked together, if I may put them together. Because part of being professional is doing your best at whatever time. So hardworking at all times is something that's really, really important. And finally, being trainable. This is a word or a phrase that you will hear a lot if you interact with the residents and with the faculty. Being trainable is nothing but being someone who's willing to learn. And maybe that's actually the best or the most important quality in all of those mentioned here. Being someone who recognizes their own limitations and is willing to take feedback and is willing to improve. Because in the end, that's why we joined the residents, right? And that concludes my presentation. I hope it was simple, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Zaid. Thank you. That was very interesting and probably more closer to the heart of the applicants. I think it's time for question and answer. And I could see that there are a good number of questions in the question and answer platform. So what we are going to do is we will go through the questions, and probably I will delegate some of the specific questions to the people who are more better to answer them. But generally, when I scanned the questions, there were a lot of questions regarding BLS and ACLS and the requirement. And to answer all of this at once, I would say that ACLS, BLS are a requirement for applications. They should be actively valid at the time of application. So you should make sure that your certificates are still valid at the time of application. If you are close to renew or anything, but they are still valid, you probably can apply as long as the dates are good enough to take you through the application process. But make sure that you register for a renewal before you actually join the program, if you get the chance to join one of the programs. So that's the main answer. It's fundamental, and it's very importantly and very well carefully reviewed that your application has a valid BLS and ACLS. Now there are some, I think 1 or 2 programs, which I don't remember. That's why you as a candidate, you need to be careful with the requirements. Some of the programs, maybe dental, they only require to have, I think dental, maybe they are required to have only BLS, not ACLS. So, and you need to keep them also along your period of training actively valid. So that is, that would answer all the questions related to ACLS, BLS, and the relation with the application. I hope I got you the right answer. Then we go into, there was a question by Sausan Salim. It is said already registered, and I want to review my revive my password, but I cannot get either by email or phone number. Yes, sometimes because you probably registered earlier, you might have, the system is already registering you and you don't remember. I would suggest that you probably visit the OMSP or communicate with the admission and registrations to solve that issue. I did not finish ACLS, that's already answered. What about ACLS certificate? That's already answered. Then there was Fatima Ahmed is asking local health centers, they don't have golden TB test. Is Manto test is enough? No. We are actually now following the national guidelines for TB tests, and the golden TB test is required, and now it's widely available, better than previous years. So Ministry of Health now providing these tests, and being a doctor, you probably at a better chance to find which place are offering these tests. You have to do them, and you have to submit the result as it's already explained by the admission and registration. Again, another question about ACLS, another one about ACLS, another one about ACLS and BLS. And now we have Dr. Z for international, I don't know who's Dr. Z. I know that there is a Generation Z, but there is Dr. Z for international fellowships application. Should we submit the blood test and the forms that needed to be signed by employers? Maybe that's Dr. Saif.
The blood test is not required for the fellowship exam, for the fellowships, only for the residency programs.
So Amira Al-Rahbi is asking, are we allowed to apply in programs abroad? Not enough OMSP. I mean, we are ranked by ourselves with the university, for example, in Jordan. I think this is Dr. Saif too. So there are countries that you have already listed the country that you accept.
Yeah. So there are countries which we listed and we have experience with them with residency programs, and mainly they are an English speaking or for example, France, and in future we are also opening Germany. These are programs that are structured, that are accredited by OMSP and international bodies. There might be other programs in Arab countries that they are good enough also to train the resident, but it's a decision that we took at this time that we limit the residency program to those countries. Maybe in future, if we need that, we will open it to the Arab countries. But unfortunately for now, for the time being, it's only limited to those countries which are listed.
There is another question from Abir regarding India, so fellowship in India.
Fellowship in India and certain specialties, yeah, we do. There are some countries which are not listed for fellowships, like for example, India. It depends on the needs of the country and the rarity of specialties. Like for example, we have sent somebody to Brazil to do a temporal joint, something in the temporal joint. He's an OMFS graduate, but we know that Brazil, the place where he went is a very good center, and the professor who was working with him is really a renowned surgeon. So yeah, we do send to India and other countries that not usually, for example, a destination. Like for example, South Africa. Also, South Africa is a good country for training of for surgical subspecialties. So we do send to certain countries, but for further details, they can contact us directly.
There is no abroad programs for dentistry specialty. I think there is, so last year and this.
Dental, we don't have residency program, but we have it only for fellowships. Because dental program is offered in OMSP, we did not offer it abroad.
So we have fellowship for dentistry.
That's right. Yes, right.
So
subspecialty for this year for dental, it will be under Ministry of Higher Education. They will do the advertisement, the announcement for it, and they will apply, and they will be filtered by the ministry.
Suad Salim say that, but if I am not fitting the criteria for international program, so I can't write. I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, she's answering herself.
Yes. Always make sure that you understand the criteria before you apply and you think that your application is accepted. Amira Rahbi, no, that's already okay. So then we have Nadia Al-Hosni, again BLS. Yes, it's mandatory to be valid. Saeed is saying some of us have MCCQ exams in the upcoming year and want to apply for residency. Is that acceptable? This is again for international, yes.
The MCCQE has to be either have the result or already done. So we don't take people who are registering for MCCQE for next year, for example, 24 or 25. I know there are people who couldn't get an appointment or a slot for the MCCQE, but that's unfortunate. The application for residency program is year by year. It's not, we cannot give them a sponsorship letter for 2 years, for example. So we only take those who finished the MCCQE for Canada and they are ready for it. Or they are registered and they are just waiting for the exam result, which will come soon. Then we might give them an interview.
Okay. So there is a question by Azza Al-Amri. العمرية, and if my score is 59.4, am I eligible to apply internationally? عندكم واسطة
Whatever is applied for local, it's applied for international. So
yes. So the rules that if you scored this year and last year 60 and above, then you are invited to come for the interviews both locally and internationally. There's long questions from Tasneem. Thank you so much. My questions are specifically regarding forensic medicine scholarships 24-25. Based on what I know, it is only in ROB. They do have their own advertisement, exam requirement, criteria, interviews process. I am wondering, for those interested in the field, should we go through ROB or OMSP process for both? Dr. Saif.
For forensic medicine, if the ROB have applied through us to give them the slot for forensic medicine, and we have sent a few candidates to France, and I think she knows them. And so it's only the forensic medicine is only for Royal Oman Police, since this specialty in the country is being practiced by that hospital, and they do the process through us. So she applied, if she want, she applied through us, but most of the time it's those candidates who are employed by ROB are the one who will get the seats. The other hospitals and Minister of Health did not announce forensic medicine for them. So if she wants to go for forensic medicine, she has to be employed by ROB.
I would rather make sure that ROB are interested to have them, and then they apply to OMSP. Aisha Al-Hosniya, for interns, who should sign the forms for us? Maybe Sheikha or Dr. Asma. Sheikha or Dr. Asma.
Okay, Dr. Hood, interns are not yet sponsored by any healthcare organizations, so they are omitted from signing the forms.
Yes. So if you are intern, you do the application process, and you will be asked to get the form signed by your employer before you actually start joining the program. So whenever you get an employer, immediately you ask them to sign for you the papers. Amira Al-Rahbiya, are we allowed to apply in programs abroad, not through OMSP? I mean, we are ranked by ourselves. I think I read that. Okay, so if for international residency program, if we already schedule our exams to be after the application deadline, can we still apply? I think you answered نفس السؤال لكنه بطريقة أخرى أعتقد. What if is already I registered, هذا سؤال من مريم العيسائية, scheduled for international exam, but not yet. Again, it's the same.
It's the same.
I think this year the setup is for this year only. Like people are scheduled to do the exam and they want to apply this year.
Yes, if the exam is being done now, for example, in the month of December or January, and she will get the results soon, we might entertain that candidate. But if she will do the exams in the mid of the year of 2023, that will be off the schedule. So it will be really tough to take those candidates.
Yes. Again, question from Muhannad: if someone finished his or her internship abroad, let's say New Zealand, Australia, can they apply for a residency program in those countries via the scholarship program? And do they have to do AMC examinations?
I think I'll answer half of it, and I will let Manal answer about the AMC. But those who graduate from New Zealand and Australia, they have to be employed in Oman to compete for these scholarships. We know that there are students who are doing their study currently in Australia and New Zealand and also in Ireland. And they want to apply for residency programs once they finish their residency and internship while they are in those destinations, those countries. So to compete for these scholarship, you have to be employed. We cannot continue after undergrad to postgrad scholarship without being employed in the country. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it, Manal, if you can answer, for those who graduate from New Zealand and Australia, what are the requirements for licensing in those countries?
Yeah. So بنحتاج هو عادة اللي متخرجين من استراليا أو نيوزيلند يكونوا مسجلين في الكونسل في استراليا ونيوزيلندا. فبنحتاج منه يعني إثبات أنه هو مسجل وما يحتاج أنه يسوي هاي الامتحانات إذا كان متخرج من استراليا ونيوزيلندا.
Okay. So Nadia Al-Hosniya, is it mandatory to have valid BLS? Again, the answer. Wala she say that if my internship years ends in June, can I still apply this year and send the certificate later, Sheikha or Dr. Asma? Somebody who did not finish on the right time his internship.
I wonder what June she's mentioning, because usually the intake of internship is in July, and they start July this year and they start August this year and they finish July next year. So I'm not sure, the question is not clear.
I think Asma, it's June next year, June 23. Because if she June 22, she is eligible.
Yeah, so anything that the academic year start 1st of September. So the last month, the last 30th August is the last day of the internship is accepted. If you finish internship before that. Some people who are late intake of internship, they finish in December, they can't apply because academic year starts in 1st of September, and by 1st of September, internship year should be already done.
But part of their application is to submit completion of internship, isn't it?
Yes, Dr. Hood, part of the process is to submit their internship certificate, and people who are currently intern, they submit the proof of them proof that they are currently in the internship year when they started.
Okay, I think there is a question from Dr. Khalid Al-Hamadani. I think it's more technical. For the fellowship application, in the file upload section, there is the postgraduate's qualifications. What do you mean by that? As the completion certificate and specialty certificate already uploaded in the other sections. Also, what is meant by other documents? Finally, when we download the application form, does it download empty and we need to fill it by hand? هذه أعتقد technical. يعني
maybe Manal can answer them quickly.
So Dr. Khalid, what is meant here is if you have any qualifications other than specialty certificate, membership exams, for example, or other international exams that you would like to include in your application. And with regards to the printed application form, it appears empty because you have not uploaded a picture. Once you upload a photo to the application form, it will be printed properly.
Thank you. So Arif is asking, as a dental student, my only option for residency is OMFS, correct? No. You have the chance to apply for general dentistry and OMFS. Saeed Al-Farsi, is the application for stroke unit program is different from the current application for neurology related specialty? To say?
Yeah, there are two programs running at the same time. There is a stroke program, which we did not announce yet. That will be a different application and track for fellowships. For certain governance, because we're almost done with Muscat. So what is left on the stroke program is Sohar, Salala, and maybe Nizwa. And we concentrate on Salala now for the stroke program. For the Ministry of Higher Education, we opened it up for certain also subspecialty. It's available in the link. So he can apply in the Ministry of Higher Education link, and in the link with us for the neurology subspecialties. There are two different, so neurology have two chances. One chance is in the Minister of Higher Education program, and the other chance in the stroke unit program.
Thank you. Mariam Al-Azzani, regarding the lab test, is there a specific duration since we did the test? For example, I did the test a couple of years ago. Do I need to repeat them? There are a number of tests that we request for the application process. Some of them will be valid, probably few only, but you have to make sure that the test is valid by the time of the application. Maybe Sheikha, you can elaborate on that more. Sheikha?
أيوة دكتور.
So if somebody did the test, how long they can keep the result and they are acceptable?
It should be for a year, not more than a year.
Yeah.
But like for the immunization card, Dr. Asma?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
we have in the chat earlier when Sheikha was giving her presentation, we downloaded we sent in the chat the document of the Ministry of Health guideline, which is mandated by all the health people working in healthcare sector. سواء كانوا students, trainees, or practicing physicians. The guideline is clearly say that the proof for vaccinations, once it is there, you just upload them. However, and even if you don't have the proof for vaccination, but you did the test which show IgM positive that you are immune to the rubella and the other varicella and the other infectious disease which is requested, that's fine. However, there is, as per guideline, there is a few tests need to be repeated annually, like hepatitis C virus and other. I instruct all the attendees to go back to the guidelines and review it because we wanted updated data.
Yes, I also wanted to stress to the point, the reason behind we request those tests and they are mandatory is for your own safety. When you are a resident, you will be practicing physicians and you will be doing a lot of procedures. And the last things that we are going to subject you to is your own safety. So we would like you to be, first of all, clear from any infectious disease. And we also have an ethical approval that you are not, you are good enough to practice and not harm your patients. So very important. And the document that Dr. Asma said is not for resident, it's for everyone, for all healthcare workers, including you as a learner or as a trainee. There is a specific sections on that, and we would like you to read them. And if you have any, you know yourself, you are a physician by this time, you also need to be careful and you are at a better, well-informed than the rest of the community. Right. So, again, there is a question about ACLS and BLS. Hajar Hamad, when dermatology program exam will be conducted, as it will be part of the application. It will be part of the interview. So just before you're going for the interview, you will be doing the exam. Those who succeed in the exam, then they will go through the interview. Al-Khattab Al-Saqri, how can I as a GFP get the application sponsorship from form ready, and who should sign it? GFP is already sponsored by, most of them are sponsored by Ministry of Health. So Ministry of Health should sign for you. in general dentistry program, this is a question from Johanna Al-Boushia. Would primary care dentistry diploma exam be enough? Because it equals to MFD. So please, these questions are already part of the applications. Whatever is mentioned in the applications, you have to follow. There is no يعني ما عندي استثناءات. يعني أنا مسوي هذا الاختبار ممكن تعتبروه بداله لا. لأنه that will open the door, and there are many selection exams. We are very specific about the application, and if we are going to change, we change based on قرار and based on a bylaw. So اللي موجود الحين MFD, and we need to have that exams as part of the application process. Iman Al-Amri for fellowship applications, what kind of support does OMSB provide? Is there some kind of agreement with some university?
ما شاء الله.
هذا بعد كل
بعد كل هذا support, this webinar is a support for you guys. We do have agreement with most of the universities يعني around the world for fellowships, but it's a competition. Dr. Zaid have mentioned that you need to sell yourself for the residency program. You need also to sell yourself for the fellowship. It's a really a competitive world for not only for residency program, but even for fellowship, it's more competitive. We compete with all GCC country and other countries around the world, and they select the best candidates. We try to secure slots for you in certain countries, but you know, our reputation of Omanis being trained abroad are really excellent. So Omanis are being given priorities in the interviews, and that's a good news for you. So yeah, يعني your chances of being selected for a fellowship is really good. I would say in most of the fellowships programs, except on those who are really very tough, like for example adult cardiology, it's really tough to get a place. But we do our best to secure these positions for you. We do our best, but it's really very competitive. Yes.
شكرا سيد. دكتورة وجدان الراشدية, can candidate apply to external residency program in addition to special residency programs such as the stroke unit programs? أعتقد هذه it's very well explained. أخت منال قالت لكم إنه you have one scholarship choice and two local programs. فما تقدر تأخذ اثنين مع بعض وبعدين one local.
هي تتكلم أعتقد عن التراك مال الستروك, which now the stroke we did not announce it yet, so if she wants to compete for the slot now for the international under the Ministry of Education, yes, she can do that now. And then
so she can apply for stroke because
later
stroke
on.
is one or
Later on, yeah, later.
Okay.
If she's not selected for one of those programs that are offered at the moment, you can apply at a later stage for another program.
Okay. Aziza Al-Balushia, I wanted to ask about public health clinical specialty. Some universities do not require medical licensing. So is it a requirement to provide the licensing requirement anyhow?
Public health is really a special specialty that in most of the time it's a requirement to do this. I think she's talking about UK GMC registration, but in certain university they don't want them to do GMC registration, but they still see patients. So I think for public health she needs to sit with us and we will explain the process to her.
Okay. Amna Al-Alawi, can we apply for one specialty only, or we must choose 3 specialties? طبعا دكتورة أسماء, she stressed on this, and it has been طبعا we have applicants who say that I wanted only emergency medicine and only emergency medicine, and then he either get the chance to be selected or he does not get any chance to join OMSB. But I would suggest and stress on what the Dr. Asma said in the message. You go for your first choice, but also try to have another choice that can probably your plan B. Choose it. You can not اختار. If you are not interested to go international, then you don't have to choose. ما كده سيف. يعني they can choose 3 local without international?
They can't, well, local, they allowed only 2. So if they choose 3, they will be, the third one will, I think Asma will be disqualified.
Yes.
We kept the third choice for international. So they cannot choose 3 international, they cannot choose 3 local. So it has to be a mix of 1 international and 2 local.
Okay, so you only have 2 local, and if you are interested to go for international, you can put it as another
First
choice.
or second or third. Yeah.
Yes. طيب.
Dr. Wood, I just want to add one thing. The first choice is mandatory. The second and third is optional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So if they are applying, I'm sure they have to choose something. Nobody
Yes.
will come and do not choose anything.
But it's not a must. It's true what Sheikh is saying. It's not a must
Yes.
to put 3. You can put 1,
Yes.
you can put 2.
Put 2, you can put 3.
You
Yes.
can put 3.
Yes,
It's an
it's
option
not-
for you. Yeah.
Yes, but we always tell them as an advice, maybe you should make yourself probably like you don't put only one choice. If you have an option to choose another which you also like and you are not fully sure that which one to choose.
True.
Do your chances of getting specific specialty get affected if you are from Muscat compared to other sites? Not really. Might be sometimes we get limitations, but it's not most of the time. If you have a choice, then and the sponsor signed for you, you will get and you went through the interview, you're going to be selected. No, for Farsi, there is any international program for dentistry like orthodontics or I think the last year and this year we have. Yeah.
We have answered,
Yes.
yeah. But this is through the Minister of Higher Education. It will be this year.
Okay. Again, there are questions regarding BLS, ACLS. Generally, we answered that yes, you need them. And if they are going to take you and you are valid by the time of application, يعني لين 25 أعتقد وعندك your certificate are valid, you are good to go. Ruqayya is asking, what about KSA? What about Saudi Arabia? Dr. Saif.
Yeah, we have answered this. It's like Jordan. Currently, Saudi Arabia, we don't send. They go as a study leave. There are good programs, not very costly. So yeah, until now, we only send to English-speaking countries. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and other countries are like Jordan and Egypt. They go by study leaves. And the curriculum has to be structured and has to be approved by OMSP before the candidate can go.
Okay, so there is, Aya is asking, I have one question. Is being in the waiting list of one program will cancel our chance in the second program? General rule is saying that you will be matched to your first choice, and so if you are accepted for your first choice, you will go to first choice, and if you have a second choice, and you might be in the waiting list for the second choice. ما كذا شيخة؟ شيخة or Asma?
أيوة
Okay.
دكتور.
أيوة
أيوة دكتور تفضلي.
Sheikha, you would like to answer it?
لا عادي تفضلي دكتور.
لا, you answer it because you are the part who doing the technical things.
Okay. Regarding طبعا البروجرامز ما يعرفون. Just we want you to know إن كل برنامج ما يعرف إن you are applying for first, second, third. كأنك you are applying for one program. So if you have been accepted, for example, let us say international, local. You are in the international not accepted, and the second local is accepted, the third waiting list, then you will be accepted as per your priorities. I don't know if I answered the question.
Okay.
If I furtherly add to Dr. Hood, it's mean if you are For example, you applied for emergency and internal medicine. If you are waiting an emergency and you accepted an internal medicine, then you will go with internal medicine because you are waiting in your first choice. If you are accepted in the both program, you will go with your priority. If you accepted for emergency with internal medicine, then you will go for emergency medicine because that was your priority. For example, if you applied international, then local, and you are accepted in all the three, you will go for the international because that was your first choice. So you will be matched to the choice as per priority. And if your first choice you are waiting list and you accepted in the second choice, then you will go for it. Wherever you are accepted, you will be matched to it based on your priority.
Okay, thank you. Again, a question about ACLS. Let me again stress on something. The ACLS, PLS has been there for a requirement for application since many years. We've never changed them. It's been there for at least for 7-8 years. And it's going to be there as we practicing medicine. So these questions regarding is it valid? Can I do it after the application is not acceptable. You know that the application process has been there and it is clear, and we are not going to change them. Khulud, is there a deadline for joining residency? Yes, everything. Is there a deadline age for joining residency? Is there an age limit? ما عندنا. لكن طبعا you yourself also have to look at your physical. Some of the programs actually require a lot of physical fitness. Some of them they might require like ophthalmology. You need to pass a specific test because you are going to handle scopes, and so they test.
دكتور هود for France منال 33.
ايوه اقل من 33 يعني 32 تحت.
So for international that is specific for France, but for local we don't actually. طيب ولا do we accept if we have an IFOM score, and what is the minimum score? No, we don't accept IFOM. IFOM is a history now. We have our local selection exam, and we faced already IFOM, and for the last year and this year, I think those who scored 60 and above, I don't know if we have still candidate from IFOM, but last year that was the last year that we do, the year before last year, the last time we did IFOM. So last year we did our local exam, and this year also we did our local exam.
Dr. Hood, if you allow me,
Yes.
Fatma Al-Busaidi, can we have an access to the record event later? The event will be recorded and it will be uploaded within 48 hours in our YouTube, almost be YouTube site. So then people can, watch it later.
Can someone accept it in both local and international? Yes.
You can be accepted in both, but we will take the first choice.
Yes, you might be accepted, but then they will match you for your first choice. Al-Khattab, if I have already applied and just realized the unacceptable choice through this presentation, يعني تبغى تغير رأيك الحين بعد ما سمعت هذا international, local, international, I can't change it now, isn't it? أعتقد if I understand عندهم chance يغيروا لين
25th of December.
لين ما يقفل البرنامج ما كذا؟
Yes.
أيوه. But don't do a lot of changes مثل لما تروح تسوي MCQs وتقرأ بمختار إنه قبل تغيره وبعدين تطلع بدون ما تجيب الإجابة الصحيحة. فاطمة أحمد she said again about ACLS أعتقد جاوبنا. سعيد الفارسي for GFPs who are rotating in different specialties, who should sign the form? As I said, GFP is now centrally managed by Ministry of Health, and they will manage all the files. So all related signatures will be signed by the Ministry of Health. Sarah Rasbi, OMFS, the only specialty program locally. What about orthodontics? If it is not provided locally, can we apply for it via international scholarship?
We have mentioned this, Dr. Hood, that orthodontic and dental subspecialty will be announced by Ministry of Higher Education.
Yes. And Ghadir, again, same questions regarding signing the application forms. As I said, Ministry of Health هم بيوقعوا حتى لو كنت موزع. أيوه.
دكتور بس أضيف حاجة in the application form لما يحددون they are employed or not employed, of course not employed, those are interns. The rest
Yes.
they have to select employed. معهم مختلف الجهات احنا we already mentioned like ROP, D1 and MOH. Under MOH there is like Muscat governorate, there is all the governors. Also additional to that there is Ministry of Health headquarters. For GFP then they have to select that one and go directly to Ministry of Health.
Yes, okay. So there is a drop list of whoever is your sponsor will be.
Exactly.
Fatima, is it possible to apply for specialty training in Oman right after doing an internship abroad? Or do we have to be employed in Oman first? You need to be employed and you need to be sponsored to come to OSP. You need to, so you need also to be careful if you are finishing from outside. There are some details ممكن الشيخ اتكلمت عنهم. Your certificate had to be authenticated. You need to go to Ministry of Health and get your licenses, and then you need to be employed. Whoever is employing you should sign for you the sponsor lettership during the applications. How can we get Hajar Hamid? How can we get the Ministry of Health to sign the sponsor? Like who we should contact exactly? الآن اللي موجود هي الشؤون الإدارية. يعني so إذا كنت في Ministry of Health إذا كانوا من المنطقة أعتقد المدير العام أو من ينوب في المناطق. في مسقط مديرية مسقط توقع اللي هم يعني معينين في مديرية مسقط والوزارة توقع البقية. لكن this might be changed so يعني you will get the answer correctly. يعني ممكن تكون centrally we don't know yet. But you just need to ask who should sign for you. Regarding public health clinical, one of the residency program abroad, what do they mean by clinical only?
Public health, there are residency program now offered in some countries, and it's a clinical residency program. It's not a master, academic master or PhD. And Canada is one of the most attractive country for those programs. So it's mainly for Canada. We are negotiating with other countries, but the most suitable clinical residency program for public health is the Canadian universities.
When will be the interviews conducted? طبعا بيطلع فيها announcement. Keep your eyes open, put your antenna up, and make sure that your email is active. Follow the social media of OMSP. Keep informed وask. ولا تروح تسافر بالصيف وبعدين تقول ما سمعت وما شفت الإعلانات وهكذا. We get all of this يعني. لكن now it's your time to always be prepared and look for any announcement coming out from OMSP. Sultan
Doctor, already mentioned from 12 February till March 9. هذه الفترة اللي available.
بعدهم ما شافوها they want me to يعني في إعلانات وفي تذكير وفي السوشيال ميديا والبرامج أيضا كل برنامج ومتى اليوم ما له جدول واضح وحتى باليوم بالتاريخ وكل بالساعة. طيب سلطان السعيدي, when are the dates for the interview based on the specialty? Again, same questions. يمكن يقربوا فوق السؤال بعدين يكتب مثله. If I pass OMSP selection exam with a score 59.4, طبعا هذا جاوبناه أيضا. مسألة who comes for the interview, you are after we finalize the passing rate, you get invited to come for the interview. Regarding the stroke unit program, will the residency seats are going to be for the year 24-25 also?
Yes, those are
Yes.
for 24-25. Yes.
Hajar, can you send us the form to be filled by the DG?
It's
Dr. Hajar, the application process is your responsibility. We cannot send it. You have to come.
دكتورة أسماء.
I could not find it in the website. Where is the ممكن نشيل الملف؟
no, no. Actually, as you are filling up the application form, you will reach to the section, and the section بيطلع لك a drop list of the to which to which sponsor you belong, and automatically you will choose that which directorate and which region you are belonging to. يعني it's part of the process when you are filling the data يعني.
And the DGs are linked to the application process, ما كده؟
أيوة. We have central link.
طيب, my question regarding the fellowship, is there a priority for the one working in hospital which need this subspecialty? يعني the choices.
Yeah, the priorities are done through the employers, so they will choose based on their requirements. If you are posted in a subspecialty for some time, that might give you an extra point to be selected, yes. And also when you compete for fellowships abroad, if you are already in a subspecialty being trained for a year or two, your chances of being accepted is really high on the universities abroad.
طيب, في سؤال أيضا من أمينة العريمية regarding stroke unit. يعني do the fellowships are mapped with the availability of stroke unit like نزوة وسوحار وصلالة والحين الشرقية. هل priority goes to the stroke units ولا ما له علاقة؟
The stroke unit, there will be an announcement with certain subspecialty for certain governance. يعني it's not open to all candidates, to all governance. It's certain governance and certain subspecialties, because we already started the program. We almost reached half of the requirement. So, and we have filled certain governance like Muscat. So the stroke unit program is really special. You might not get whatever you want, and you might not be eligible because you are from a certain DG. But if you are willing to go to that area, then we might look at it. But it will be announced at a later stage.
We have a question from Jonathan Nahar. What about international students, non-Omani, who wants to apply for residency in OMSP? Are there available slots for them? Right now, we don't take non-Omanis. We only take Omanis and some of the special cases from the Gulf. We don't have slots available for non-Omanis. Probably we are studying this maybe in the future. Hussein Al-Khabouri, again, ACLS course. We answered. Ibtisam, if it was in waiting list last year, does it increase my chance for acceptance this year? Not necessarily. It's another interview, so it's another way of probably getting yourself accepted this year. It's totally different, and they might not know. يعني يمكن الباناليست اللي موجودين السنة are different from the panelists who are there last year. Again, there is a question about ACLS from Asma. محمود الحكماني, my result. كده نقطة ما أعرف إيش أقصد. Hussein Al-Khabouri, there are many questions regarding PLS and ACLS because طبعا I know I know, but then these questions are because people are not looking at the application process of OMSB for the last 15 years. And طبعا نحن نعرف أيضا إنه for an intern you cannot graduate from internship unless you finished هذا. If you are an intern you should have a valid and BLS and ACLS ولا ما يخرجوا. فالمفترض the BLS and ACLS from AHA courses they are valid for 2 years. So if you are an intern, by default your certificate are valid. If you are not, again by default, as a healthcare workers, you should renew them even if it is not for the application process for OMSB. طيب, for GFP, which sector to choose as an employer? Should we take any paper before going to OMSB? Before going to Ministry of Health. طبعا نحن قلنا for GFP بيطلع لك في الدروب ليست Ministry of Health headquarter ما كده؟
Yes.
And that's what you chose. That's
Yes.
what you need to. طيب. Just to clarify, is the only pathway for internship graduates abroad is to go through the GFP or redo internship to be able to apply for specialty training in Oman scholarship? Is this right? لا طبعا. If you finished and you have an internship, you finish your internship abroad, you need to go to university. The university right now, they are the people who credit and approve your internships. So if you are okay with the internship that we did outside, then you also need to go to Ministry of Health to authenticate that and get your certificate authenticated from Ministry of Health. Some of the countries, their internship is accredited by our internship office in university. Some of them لا يعتمد على الجامعة اللي جاي منه. غيث العسيري, there is more chance of acceptance from government who need the specialist doctor? ما فهمت السؤال. There is more chance of acceptance from government who needs the specialist doctor.
قصده يعني قصده certain the needs of certain specialties in certain governments.
The general questions, application is different from the government. طبعا maybe some of the programs they have their own. We look at the overall need of the governments يعني in different areas. لكنه ultimately your performance in the interview is more important than which government or governance you are coming from. Ismail al-Burushi, thank you for informative meetings. Do employer decline sponsorship applications? They might decline. That employer at the end of the day is responsible for allowing you to go for scholarships based on the needs of the institution that they are managing. So they might be, but most of the time, with the help of OMSB, most of the people who apply, they get their sponsor letterships approved. Yaqub al-Rawahi, yes, but BLS and ACLS has limited number. Again, we're going around the same questions. I think we have to end this BLS and ACLS. And let me say something يعني at the end, لأنه أظن خلصت الأسئلة. I just wanted to tell a clear message that application is the responsibility of applicants. Registration is the responsibility of admission and registration of OMSB. So whatever in the applications, مثل ما تكلموا our speakers today, they elaborated a lot on details. So anything which is part of the application is the responsibility of applicants. Submitting the right document, finishing the test, doing the exams, submitting the right documents in the right space and uploading rightly. يعني we also get sometimes في المكان المحدد لرفع السي في مرفوع شيء ثاني. هذه كلها شغل الابليكانتس. Once the application process is clear and complete, then the registration will start. And this has been there واحنا بعض الأحيان نتجاوز لكنه أعتقد الآن كل شيء واضح يعني كل الخطوات واضحة كل الابليكيشن بروسيس واضحة ف people need to do an active part on the application process and they should prepare for it. So there are no more questions. I would like to thank the participants and I would like to, Dr. Asma, you have something?
Dr. Hood, just like to remind the remaining candidates, the link will be sent now to you regarding evaluation of the activity and the speaker evaluations. This event literally came after previous evaluation, which mandated further clarification on the application process, and we really value their feedback about it. I would like to remind the people who are still in the webinar that Dr. Zaid has resent in the chat all the required documents, which I mean the template for the CB, the Ministry of Health, I mean blood test guideline, and now our technical team have already downloaded two surveys, one to evaluate the event and one to evaluate the speaker, and we're really thankful those people who fill it up for us. That's all.
So I think if is there anything from your side to say before I close up? I want everyone to stay from the candidate. We did not close yet.
I want to thank you, Dr. Hood and Dr. Asma, for organizing this the event. Also, Dr. Najla and Dr. Zaid and Ms. Manal and Sheikha for the very informative session. We had a very good meeting, and I'm sure that we have clarified a lot of questions from the audience. Our offices are still open. We hope that we can see you in the Career Day. It's very important that you attend the Career Day. You will you will see all the programs, you will clarify all your questions, you get to know people who are in the programs. So it's one step further to be accepted in the programs. So it's really, it's a must that you attend the Career Day. And I want to thank all of you and also to those who participated with us from the interns, GFPs, and medical students. Thank you, Dr.
Okay, so let me summarize what has been done over the last 2 hours. Generally, what you need to be concerned about and focus on are 3 things. Number 1, you need to spend time to choose rightly. So you need to do the homework of how are you going to choose and which choices. So spend time, ask more, do your exercise, and it's an active process. So that is number 1. Number 2, you need to choose in the system. You need to choose and you apply rightly. You need to upload the documents rightly. You need to prepare all your documents. You need to finish your ACLS, PLS, and you need to get them in the right time. And number 3, between the applications and the real day of the interview, you need to prepare yourself. Maybe you practice looking at interviews, you prepare yourself on how to answer them, and maybe you increase, probably you need to do more courses or join some of the hospitals that are well known to offer advices on the choices of the field that you're going to enter. يعني ممكن تروح تسوي مثلا emergency medicine في الرويال هوسبيتال، ممكن تسوي family medicine مع البرنامج اللي موجودين فيه most likely الأعضاء من البرنامج اللي بيكونوا في البانالست. And I wish you all the best. طبعا as Dr. Saif and all of the people who are here today, they stressed on the importance of being there on the day of the event, Career and Research Day. There are more interactions. You will find more residents from different programs, more faculty from different programs, and there will be a lot of fun also there. And I would encourage everyone to be there. And I would like at the end to thank all the colleagues who are there this evening and share their knowledge and expertise from OMSP and from outside OMSP, and also the attendance. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.